A $25 billion industry with almost 2 billion damn teenage customers ready to spend their money. That's the PC video game distribution market, and there's a company that has a monopoly over it. But let's take a step back. I was playing Counter-Strike with some friends, and you know how it goes. You go B, your teammates say that A and mid are clear, and then you just start getting flashed into oblivion. Such fun times. I simply love playing CS2, it's my favorite game ever. It's not as if I just play it because I don't have money to buy other games. I'm sorry. But in the middle of tragedy, I started thinking about something even more terrific. Economics. More specifically, I saw my teammate had a shiny knife, an item which costs hundreds of dollars, and that led me to question if Valve, the company behind CS, makes bank. So I searched Valve stock in Google as a first instinct, because if the graph was going up, it meant 100% that the company was making big profits. That logic never fails, and it is financial advice. But nothing appeared. No graph appealing to my statistical and gambling driven mind. That's when I found out Valve was a private company, which meant it didn't provide information on its financial status. And that's where the rabbit hole began. Fine. If Gaben wasn't going to answer my questions, I had to do it myself. Let's begin with the fact that Valve owns Steam, which owns 75% of the digital video game distribution market, having more than 100,000 games on sale and 35 million online players at peak time every day. Steam is completely superior to its competition, and it's not even close. But how exactly is Steam so good at its job? Well, it isn't that Steam is that much better at selling games, but more of a early bird catches the worm type of deal, cause Valve has been around since 1996, Steam since 2003, originally being a platform just for Valve-owned games, and then in 2005 they started to use Steam to sell third-party games. Steam is one of the very first of its kind, so it had the time to build an ecosystem and a loyal community through things like the community tab, where there are forums, blogs and art, the game workshops, which allow players to modify games, and the community marketplace, which I will talk about in a minute. Valve being a private company also plays a part here, because if Valve was public, it would have shareholders, which are known for being greedy and incapable of thinking about the future because of their smaller than average brains. So if Valve was public and had shareholders, they will try to squeeze every cent out of the company with no regard to the customer. And then there's Steam's competition, which, long story short, almost doesn't count as competition. Epic Games doesn't offer nearly as many games as Steam does, and they really don't care about building a community. They try to compensate by offering free games and such, but that makes Epic feel more like something to take advantage of, while Steam feels like home. GOG.com focuses on older games. And then EA's and Ubisoft's platforms shouldn't even count, as they only offer their own games. All in all, Steam is good because everything else is much worse. This isn't a biased opinion, by the way. So Steam holds the PC video game distribution market by the balls. I got that point across. So let's get to the fun stuff. Valve's profits. And to be clear, this is all speculation. Valve doesn't offer this kind of information. So disclaimer, the values I'm about to say may be very wrong. Let's begin in the same way Valve was created, game development. Here I'm going to talk only about sales of games made by Valve, so microtransactions are not included. Valve didn't really make many games, but the ones they did are absolute classics. Half-Life, Portal, TF2, CS. So they did make a good amount of money with these games. Here's the list I gathered if you're interested. The total amount Valve made on game development is in the range of $1.5 to $2 billion in the span of 29 years. And that's a really good appetizer for Valve. Look, Steam is the biggest factor in this conversation, no questions asked. Let's take a good look at their business model. Imagine you are a game dev who recently finished a project, and you are so proud of what you did, and you want the whole world to see it. But there's a little problem, you don't know where to start. That's where Steam comes around. It is a platform that allows lonely nobodies like you to publish their games. And as Steam has a pretty big community, it's just a matter of time before your game is found by thousands of people. And all Steam asks is 30% of the profits of your game. How awesome of a deal is that? So let's take a look at one of the games that made the most money on sales through Steam in 2024, Black Myth Wukong, which had made around $1 billion after its first month of release, which means Steam made likely more than $300 million with one game. One single game out of 100,000 games. Elden Ring, GTA 5, Baldur's Gate 3, Red Dead Redemption addition to all these spectacular games, and Valve takes 30% of the profits home. Many sources say Steam makes $9 to $12 billion annually in game sales, so 30% of that gives us an estimate of around $3 to $4 billion a year. But the best part is this doesn't take into consideration the goldmine named Steam Community Marketplace. The most played game on Steam right now is Counter-Strike 2, with more than 1 million active users every day, and probably the first thing that comes to mind when you think about CS are skins and gambling. See these pixels on your screen right now? They cost $1,000. People are addicted to these useless things, and I'm a part of the problem, man. Ever since I started playing CS, I've always wanted an AK-47 Asimov. I really don't know how people were so pissed off about NFTs when video game skins and cosmetics were here all along. But my point is, there is a lot of demand for video game cosmetics, and the marketplace is where you can get that. Millions of dollars circulate every day in the marketplace. And here comes the good part. Steam takes a 5% cut on every single one of these transactions. Gosh, I love capitalism so much. However, it is hard to speculate on how much Steam makes off the marketplace, as information around this topic was never really disclosed to the public. But I believe it's fair to say that the range starts at $1 billion per year. Seriously, you don't comprehend how many cases people open. I also want to give a quick word about the Steam Deck. Steam loses money on it. Oh, but the true purpose of it is to promote Steam's platform and make people buy more games. I don't care. If it loses money, it's a liability, and I hate liabilities. It actually sold pretty well, and the money Steam lost on the hardware was compensated through the promotion of the platform, which I mentioned before. But I'll keep hating on the Steam Deck out of pure rage and hatred. Taking all these sources of income, and also the liability, in consideration, we can get a hard estimate on how much income Valve makes per year, which is from $5 to $10 billion. Seems low for how much I've hyped Valve up? Then let me tell you, Valve only has around 400 employees. A salary of $1 million is the minimum you're going to get working for Valve. So Valve owns the printing money machine called Steam. It's certain people are interested in investing in it if it goes public one day. Will it ever happen? No, never. Valve doesn't need money from outside investors. We already went over the absolute bank it produces. Steam is fine on its own, really. Valve spent more than a decade building a following and making Steam an ecosystem focused on the players. If there were shareholders to please, the quality of Valve's service would 100% decline. Do you think the insane Steam sales would exist with shareholders milking Valve? Competition would rise, and Steam would lose its monopoly. That's the summary of the events that would take place if Valve went public one day. There's another guarantee that Valve will remain private, which is its owner and creator, Gabe Newell. This guy is an angel to gamers. He made the paradise we now know as Steam, and his whole philosophy around the business model is to focus on long-term plans that the customer will appreciate, and it just works like a charm. Even the employees are happy, as Valve has a flat hierarchy, meaning there are no managers, you do the work you want with the people you want. All as long as the work is done, of course. And somehow it works. The people are happy, the developers are happy, everyone is happy. Making Valve public would only ruin the company, and Gaben seems to think the same, as he confessed on the few interviews he's been on that he never plans on making his personal money printer public. Well everyone, you can put your wallets away. It seems like we will never be able to invest in Valve, at least in our lifetimes we won't. But hey, at least we were all able to learn something new today. We learned that when you have a monopoly, you don't need to have shareholders pissing you off. Wow, I'm such a genius. No one could ever reach that conclusion without my help. But seriously, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you around.